Greetings, YouTube! And other people who are watching this not on YouTube. I'm sure they exist. So, this week I went to see old stuff. Now, I've already established I enjoy old stuff, and I like dead things. That came out wrong. I went and saw the Adelaide Museum, which is a big building full of both old, dead things. Adelaide Museum is in the centre of the city. It's really hard to miss unless you don't know where it is. In that case, you can live there for 4 years and not know where it is. Awkward. Adelaide Museum is free to go to. It's free. Of course I'm gonna go. Free, old, dead things. Done. I went with a couple of friends, looked around. It's got four stories. I think it's 4 stories. It's got a huge selection of Pacific Islander stuff. I think every different island culture has their own tiny little section. I had some friends who grew up in PNG, so they looked for their specific culture part of PNG, and they found it. There was a hat, and that was really it. But it was a cool hat. Like, look, it's a hat. That is the coolest hat I've ever seen. The museum also had other exhibits from Africa, Australia, Europe, all over the place. So that was fun, seeing the animals. I got to get right up close to some animals that in the wild or alive you would never get that close to. And growing up on a farm, I used to stare down animals. You know that scene from Crocodile Dundee when he looks into the animal's eyes, he does a weird thing with his finger and he gets it to stares it down? I don't know about the finger thing, but it's a real thing. You can do that. If you know how to stare down an animal, you can do it. Growing up on the farm, I used to do that with sheep, with dogs, with cows. It's all perfectly doable. I'm there in the museum, and there's a wolf. It's clearly dead. It's stuffed. Its eyes are made of glass. Clearly dead. So I stared straight at this wolf. Clearly dead wolf. And even dead, this thing was just terrifying. If I ever met one in real life, I do not think I would try staring it down. I don't know, I've never met one in real life, but I'm pretty sure I would try to stay away from it. But that's just me. I'm sure there are plenty other people out there who would gladly face down a wolf. Because I can't be the most insane person in the world, so good for you, mate. Good for you. There was so much stuff in the museum. I could go on about it for ages, so this is just the short version. I saw glow-in-the-dark rocks, which was interesting. Unfortunately, I took a photo of them, but I had flash. So they look like rocks. But trust me, they glow. They were glowing. If you don't believe me, go to Adelaide, go to the museum, and see the glowing rocks. Unless you're from Canada and you don't want to fly to Adelaide just to prove me wrong. But if you do, let me know, because I'll be impressed. A bit of an odd thing to have in a museum, but they have this beehive, and it's on the side of the wall. The bees can get outside. So if you go to the outside of the museum, there's bees coming out. So it's an active beehive with glass walls. And you can see the bees working inside. I have no idea how long I spent looking at that, but a lot longer than most people would. I found it fascinating. More fascinating than the weapons, which, for anyone who knows me, I find them quite fascinating as well. They're shiny. I like shiny. Shiny is nice. Also, on the 4th floor, they have a giant squid. They have a little room you can get in, and there's a glass window on the floor, and you look down, and there's a giant squid, and it goes all the way down to the ground floor. I'm not afraid of heights, or I used to be afraid of heights, so I now look down at stuff like that, and I'm fine with it. I'm like, I want to do this, I want to see it, I go and actually look. I then try to move, and my body shuts down. So I think I tried 5 times. I made my way to the edge, looked down, and then had to grab my friend's shoulder and drag myself out because I could not move. And it's so frustrating because I wanted to see this squid. I wanted to see it, but I just couldn't. I was like, okay, I'm doing it this time. I would go to the edge. Help me, please. And I would have to get dragged out. And then I would get to where I was moving properly. I was working fine. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. And I would go right back there. And I would get stuck again. I couldn't do it. I'm like, why? Why can I not do this? So you go down the stairs, and each floor has like a window, and you see a different part of the squid. But yeah, amazing. 4 stories high. This squid was huge. Also, just seeing the exhibits, the different animals, different yeah, it was fascinating. Adelaide Museum apparently has the largest collection of Aboriginal artifacts in any museum in the world. Unfortunately, my camera died shortly before getting to that part, so I have no photos. So you have to take my word for it. It exists. If you're in Canada and you don't believe me, fly to South Australia and prove me wrong. And tell me about it. I want to hear about this. If you're not from Canada, well, you do it anyway. Whatever. Yeah. But yes, Adelaide Museum, lots of old stuff, lots of dead stuff, lots of old dead stuff, heaps of old dead stuff, heaps of old dead stuff. Check it out. Good fun. It's free. Anything that's free is good. Perfect backpacking activity. So long.